and I love adventure!
I'm Charlie Speed. I'm all about the luxury, fine dining, getting the yacht on the open sea.
This series is about contrasting our two styles of travel.
Seriously, this jungle is massive.
The fastest I've ever seen him go is getting out of this jungle. Let's have a walk around the bat cave.
Exactly as you missed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit in the deep end here.
He's sort of dressed like he's going to dinner. We're getting strange looks from the locals. In this series, we're exploring Thailand, from its jungles, mountains and seas,
To its cities, luxury hotels and retreats.
and we call it adventure.
Or luxury.
Hello. 20th anniversary edition, the Golden Gun. Who's it signed by then? Roger Moore. Look at that. Cheers to a little window on Uber luxury.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Now I'm nervous. This is so unnatural for a human being. Can I pour you a cup of tea?
Good elf, old man. What the hell? That is bizarre.
It's going.
Timber!
Timber!
Snake! There, look! Exciting. That lady's smiling at us. Hello!
We're in Bangkok, Thailand's capital city, and I'm riding the Triumphs with Russ, heading towards Pattaya to go diving. Of all the adventures he's planned for me on this trip, this one's got me the most nervous because I've never dived before. But for now, I need to concentrate on riding through these chaotic city streets.
So basically, we're going to go diving, and this is our boat behind us. We're just about east of Pattaya, I think. But what I've tried to do is arrange a wreck dive for us. But I know what we should do is talk to this guy Arnu, because I know that you mentioned on the way here that you had a problem with your lung or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a spontaneous pneumothorax a long time ago. So I don't know what the situation is with that, but it was a long, long time ago.
Okay. Well, we'll ask him.
Okay.
Just because I think... So that's a collapsed lung, is it?
Yeah, I had a collapsed lung when I was at least 17 years ago. It just happened overnight, and it's just one of those things that happen sometimes. I mean, back then I was a heavy smoker, but don't know. It means there was something intrinsically wrong somewhere. It wasn't due to trauma or a fractured rib or anything, but...
Okay. Well, let's ask him his advice. But...
All right.
Okay, shall we jump on?
Yeah. What's your flip-flops on that?
Don't slip on this bit.
Yeah. All good?
Yeah, all good.
Slippery?
Hi, Arnold.
Hello, welcome on board.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you're expecting us.
How you doing?
I'm Russ,
Nice to
this
meet
is
you.
Charlie.
Nice to meet you.
Hi Russ, hi Charlie. Okay guys, we'll be diving today with you guys, and we'll
Yes.
be going down to the Hardeep wreck. It's a nice World War II wreck that's been sunk, actually got bombed by a British bomber on the 1st of July 1945.
Okay.
So it's been there quite a while. So this one, the Thai renamed the ship. It was actually called the Clerk under the Dutch. And when the Thai took it over, it was actually called the Suddhadib, after one of the Thai princesses. And since then, now it's been sunk, and now most people call it the Hardeep because it's hard to get to and it's deep.
Oh.
Got you.
On that point, I think it's just fair to say, from a safety point of view, I mean, Charlie, maybe you're best to describe it.
Yeah, we were chatting on the way over here because it suddenly occurred to me when I was, about 17 years ago, I had a spontaneous pneumothorax, so I had my lung collapsed overnight, just spontaneously.
Yep.
So it wasn't due to trauma or an accident or a fractured rib, it just happened, and I'm wondering if that could potentially be a problem.
Yes, potentially it could be, because for diving we advise, because for diving, especially with air, it compresses and contracts quite a lot So going down, it could create a problem. So we always advise divers, if you had some previous history, to get a medical, like a proper check through first,
Right.
before we would go diving. So that's more advisable.
But for today, you're recommending...
For today, I recommend maybe not, because it's quite a deeper dive as well.
I mean, that is a shame. We were anticipating that, weren't we?
Yeah.
So...
If it was to
Okay.
happen, what would happen?
Worst case scenario is basically you would collapse and get unconscious and stop breathing.
Right.
And then the treatments for it is basically to a chamber.
Wow, okay.
But they have to recompress you and do a whole lot of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
okay. It's not good news.
No.
But I think we'll carry on with the dive if that's okay. Just
of course.
because then we can show you what it's all about.
Okay.
You know, from an adventure point of view. But there's no point putting anyone at
No,
risk.
guest, I don't think, yes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Arnold.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry about that, mate.
Mate, listen, that's the nature of the beast, I suppose.
I think it is worth with diving because a lot of people just go on holiday, they dive, and you know, but there are certain dangers attached to it.
Listen, it's good. Have a good time. I can see the footage,
Yeah.
and then perhaps we can chat with Arnold as well, just so I can get some information about
Yeah,
the
it'd be a
do's
good.
and don'ts.
Well, actually, and also about the wreck. 'Cause it sounds
Yeah.
like it's got good history. Arnold, this is Andres. He's
Andres.
going to come
Nice
down
to
to
meet you.
film,
Okay, not a problem.
and
at
he'll
all.
have a buddy with him as well, will he?
There'll just be the three of us.
Three of us?
We will just go as a buddy team.
You'll keep an eye on
Yeah,
him
and I'll keep an eye on him with you.
and me.
And you. All right, so it'll activate by itself. So once you jump in the water, okay, so it's calibrated for normal air and salt water. So when you jump in, it'll just tell you what your depth is and what your no decompression limit is. So there'll be a timer going there. It'll be your maximum time that will show up. Okay. When we go into the line, onto the wreck, there's a buoy line that goes down, or we what we call a shot line. So when we get into the water, we'll do a down stride, hold on to the line, and we'll descend all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Down the bottom, it's pretty nice sandy area, so we'll just move onto the wreck.
And are we pulling ourselves down the line like this, or you just want us to go down like that?
There's not much current. We'll see what the current is. If it's light current, just pull yourself down. If there's no current, you can just probably just hold on to it
Okay.
gently. So so basic equipment. Okay, we've got our regulator. Okay, so this is your inflator and your deflator. Okay. You've got your air gauge over here, so you've got more than about 200 here, which is full tank, and you've got your dive computer here, okay? And this is your main regulator that you use, all right? Alternate air source is just tucked in over here, okay? Right, so I'll give you another briefing just before we hit the dive site on our dive plan and what we're going to do.
Aha.
Okay guys, so this is the dive plan. So this is what the wreck looks like, okay? So the bottom here is about 27, 28, and as you move up to the wreck, it goes on to about 25. Okay, just over here, there's a nice big cargo hold. So what we'll do is we'll actually first just move out on the outside of the wreck, just along the sand line, just move along here towards the back. Now, if the currents are pretty much okay, what I'll do is we'll penetrate through this cargo hold in here, and there's a corridor that goes through and it comes out towards the aft of the boat, just underneath the props. Over here, there's still two unexploded 1,000 pound bombs.
Can we have a look at them?
We can try, yep, I think the currents will be good. We can try and see
But
them.
don't touch them.
But do not touch them. And don't tap them for sure. Okay, the fuses are out, but the explosives are still inside, okay? So as we ascend and descend, just hold on to the rope at all times, okay? I'll give you a signal to go up, and I'll follow by the signal, okay?
And just so we all remember, that's like, are you okay?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you see that, you do that back,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah.
And if you're not happy, or if your airs, you're not happy,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that.
If you have any problems, just give me that, followed by this, and I'll know that you want to
Yeah.
ascend,
And that
okay?
is.
Right. Then if I give you... No, you don't want to hit that signal.
I'll be the
Okay.
wreck.
I ain't got no
I'll,
air
I'll
left.
give
join
you
the wreck.
this signal. It's basically me asking you how much air you've got. So just pick up your air gauge, have a look. That's the one at the bottom. So assuming you've got 120, just go 120 or 120. That's fine. Okay. Now when you reach 70, give me the low on air signal. Okay. So once I see anyone that's low on air, we'll start heading back to the line and we'll make our ascent.
And that's 70 bar.
70 bars. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But you'll check my gauges as well, because obviously it's okay. Back.
Okay.
And it's best to just relax and
Yeah.
breathe real slow. That's why we don't want to go against the current, because I've had that before. You just consume so much air.
so
Okay, we better get going.
We've got to get going because
Yeah.
it's really slack now. So
Yeah.
we'll just keep it quiet.
Exciting.
Mr. Crew,
I quite like diving on wrecks, particularly when they've got a bit of a history to them. You know, a story.
As the boat headed to the Suddhadib dive site, which is about 20 minutes away from the marina, the preparations began. Wetsuits on, air prepped, and cameras ready. And even though I couldn't dive, I was really happy that Russ was still able to go down and see the wreck. And that Andreas from the crew would get to take my place.
While they're down below, obviously I can't go down, I've just been having a little nose on the net just about the actual wreck. It was sunk in May 1941 and it was an 80-metre freighter. It was pushed into intercoastal transport service by the occupying Japanese and sunk towards the end of World War II. It is a great site for getting your wreck diver speciality certificate, which says it's actually quite a tricky dive. We found as well, it's one of the top 10 most dangerous dives in the world. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise because I've never dived before. I don't think Russ knew that either. And it was attacked and sunk by the British Allied bombers in the latter part of World War II. Originally it had a long service history before the war as both a passenger and a cargo ship before it was commandeered by the Japanese army to run supplies to Thailand, where they were building the railway linking the country to Burma. So a bit of history there. Gutted I can't go down, but there's always time in the future, isn't there?
That was great. That was really good. And now everything gets heavy. Thank you. That was great. There was just a few seconds down there, particularly one where we just went inside the wreck. At that moment, I was breathing a lot quieter. And it was just really serene. Just going through, and there was just a square on the outside. And it was all blue and perfectly quiet. I could hear my breath, and I was pretty relaxed, although I'm not the fittest bloke. But in that moment, it was just like, that's what diving makes it worthwhile. If people can go diving, you don't have to wreck dive. I just like wreck dives because they're a bit eerie. It's like where humans used to live and now all the animals are taking it over. So it's eerie down there. But there's quite a strong current as well. When you come back up, you have to hold the chain with one hand because you're sort of pulled out. Or if you let go, you'd be taken off somewhere. But it was good. I love it. I like diving. I think bizarrely, you hear your breath more than any other time in your life, so you're aware of how precious that is.
How was it? You enjoyed it?
I did enjoy it actually.
Yeah.
There's sometimes when I've been diving where something goes wrong or the current's too strong and you sort of can't relax because you're thinking about the kit and just sort of not staying safe, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But down there, once we got down, it's like, that's fine. So you could just enjoy looking at the wreck and going in the wreck, and he showed us where the bomb had hit. And it's like, I don't know, it's just a different world. Actually,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's an obvious thing to say. It's
Yeah.
just a different world down there. Everything's... You can't talk to anyone. You can only experience it yourself. You know, I don't know. I like it.
I was having a look on the, just having a little nose on the internet. It is actually quite a notorious dive.
Is it?
It's actually quite a dangerous dive, and people use this specific wreck to get, I think it's a Class 3 certificate, because it is a challenging dive, and there have been deaths.
Why?
Because it's a tricky dive, I guess, with the currents and because it's through a wreck.
Yes. Well, I think you definitely need to go into these things with your eyes open.
Yeah.
And a good dive master like Arnold, who's always
Absolutely.
turning around looking after us, etc.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we're all back up safe.
Yeah, sure. Great.
And thanks for letting me go down anyway.
Oh, mate,
Because as
listen.
we're here, I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I'm always coming from. You remember dives, you remember when you've climbed a volcano, you remember when you've done an epic train journey, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily remember a night that you slept in a bed.
Yeah. I would like to talk a little bit about my philosophy on luxury. And of course, we all immediately think about, you know, super high-end hotel suites and the finest wines and all that goodness. But actually, luxury it's a relative thing. You know, for example, you could have been out on a massive hike in the driving rain, the freezing cold wind. You've had a great day, and you get back, and you fill your bath up and you put some nice salts in it and you have a good long soak. That's a luxury. Hot water's a luxury. I think most people work very, very hard throughout their whole lives. You know, you spend your whole life grafting. And so if you don't treat yourself to the occasional luxury, the fun experience, the slightly extravagant experience, then it's almost like, what's the point? That's okay every now and again. Have a nice glass of some fine wine. You don't have to buy the whole bottle. It doesn't have to be some ridiculously expensive champagne. It's about the treat. Remember, the thing about luxury, apart from it being a very personal experience, is that it's not about showing off. It's not about doing these things to show off to people, to post on social media. Because actually, at the end of the day, that makes you feel worse. All the peer pressure to be doing certain things. You have to be doing it for yourself. Because when you're happy, there's no doubt, you're a much friendlier, nicer person. That's just the way it goes. I think it's important to stress that actually neither Russ or I are saying one is better than the other, adventure is better than luxury. In actual fact, they can work in harmony. You know, pitching up in the middle of the jungle and stressing the night away and then getting back to that bit of luxury, whether it just be a hotel room with a nice hot shower. The two things work incredibly well together. There are many, many things that you can do out there. Get out there, give them a go, and then don't feel bad about treating yourself afterwards. You know, it's what it's all about. You know, we've only got one go, so let's do it.
It was now time for us to leave Bangkok, and we jumped on a short Thai Airways internal flight to Phuket in the south of Thailand.
Thailand is a beautiful country, so it attracts some great characters. I'd arranged for us to meet an American who is now a Thai citizen and who made his fortune here. I'd heard he had an incredible collection of cars and bikes, and his villa in the Anantara Layan resort was a stunning place to meet.
Morning.
Morning.
Park your car, sir.
Yeah.
Don't let him in it.
You might not see it back.
Don't let him near it.
Don't let him near it. That is pretty, isn't it? And I love that. The slow
Shape. Yeah, the
Fastback.
fastback has always been,
Much, much prettier than the soft top.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
and also, is it the 2+2? Has
no,
that?
this one is just the 4.2 liter coupe.
Yeah, that's prettier than the other.
The 2+2 sort of got that extended back a little bit.
Yeah. No,
so
this
lost
is the
a
one.
bit of its original shape.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Running, sounds like it's running great, Bill.
Yes, we're all set to go.
Okay, should we get going then?
Absolutely.
Okay, mate, you getting in?
Let's do it. Oh, it smells great. Love that smell. What a treat. Again, thank you very much. Okay.
Bill is taking us on a tour of his favourite roads, but since the E-Type is a two-seater, Russ is going to have to follow behind on the Triumph Explorer. Having been a lifelong petrol head and especially keen on classic cars, this was going to be one of the most exciting Sunday drives I'd ever been on.
Well, Bill, I mean, as I understand it, you know, you moved to Bangkok when you were only 14 with your family. Is this right?
That's correct. I came as a teenager.
You came as a teenager, but you previously lived in Japan, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. Is that right?
That's correct.
So you were already becoming familiar with this part of the world from a very young age.
And fell in love with it.
Got you. I can understand why. Now, as I understand it, you were quite the entrepreneur from a very young age.
I love to go racing and cars and motorcycles, so I had to have a job to be able to afford those things.
I can see the inspiration there. I mean, you wrote a weekly karting column, didn't you, in Bangkok World?
That's right.
And so, did you write that? So that helped you get advertising space. Is that right?
That's correct. And then I got a commission off all the space I sold.
Oh, super. And then you took over that department, didn't you?
That's right.
And how old were you?
By that time, I was probably 16.
Wow. And then from there on, tell me how it progressed and how you ended up building this amazing business empire.
Well, we got into advertising. I owe a lot to David Ogilvy, who taught me a lot about many things, and sold that company, and then got into property and food. That's where we stay today. We've got about 150 hotels scattered around the world, 2,000 restaurants around the world, and I get to live in Phuket and Bangkok.
And how much time do you sort of spend between the two places?
I spent 2 weeks a month in Thailand and 2 weeks traveling.
Right. And with the Anantara brand, well, tell me about it. What was your inspiration for that brand?
Really, I always thought that travel should be mixed with adventure.
Right.
And people, sometimes they want to rough it and sometimes they want to enjoy it. And we tended to put hotels in places where normally you had to rough it. And Now you don't have to rough it quite so much, but you can still have all of the fringe benefits of the adventure.
So you get the best of both worlds, essentially.
Exactly. And that's what people want these days.
Yeah.
So they want a bit of adventure, but they want their creature comforts.
Absolutely, and it really does cover all bases, doesn't it?
So my idea of roughing it, in these difficult spots is when room service is a little slow.
Well, that's not something we've experienced at your residence.
It was a humid day, so we stopped for a drink and to learn more about the island. Bill owns a number of hotels and companies on Phuket and all around Thailand. His businesses were affected by the tsunami that hit on the 26th of December 2004. Thailand was only 300 miles from the epicentre of what was the third largest earthquake ever recorded. The effect was devastating, killing a total of 280,000 people in 14 countries. Thailand lost around 7,000 people from many parts of the country, including islands and destinations we'd visited on the trip. On the island of Phuket, where we are now, the water rose by a staggering 20 foot, destroying everything for miles.
We understand that currents can be quite tricky further out.
Very tricky. Even just close in, there's a tremendous undertow. And that was an incredible thing when you had the tsunami came. This was on Boxing Day. But it wasn't so much the height of the wave, it was the power of the water going back out.
So the suction effect.
Yeah, and then if you were in your hotel room, it became like a washing machine. The toilet came up, the bathtub came up, the beds, everything was sort of swirling around as it went out.
Incredibly destructive.
When you consider that we lost 7,000 people, whereas we only lost 200 on Phuket, the island, and we lost probably another couple of hundred over on PP Island. Where the wave got bigger was in the shallow, where the tide went out, and then when it came back in, the wave built up and became very high. So that's why in the Maldives we had no damage from the tsunami, because the wave it's so deep, the water's there, it just sort of rolled over the islands, 6 or 8 inches. And whereas here it built up into a wave, we probably had a wave in Khao Lak of about maybe 4 meters.
Gosh.
And that was a lot of water. And then when it retreated, all that water took everything back out with it. So
What have they done now to, what's the protocol now?
they've got an early warning system, so they sense the tremors, and they can also then measure any currents.
And what are people supposed to do now?
Then you go to a high point, you go to a mountain or wherever, get out of these low-lying areas.
Is that sort of practiced at all?
Yes,
or?
we've had some rehearsals, and
Really?
we've had a couple of earthquakes that everybody then worried that there might be a tsunami, but
So an alarm goes off, the siren goes off, and
Yeah.
everyone knows just
Yeah.
to get to high ground.
Yeah.
And
so we've got.
God, that would be horrible.
Yeah, but Phuket recovered, considering that many people said that nobody would ever come back. And you've lost that many tourists in one fell swoop. It's hard to imagine where we've ever lost that many people.
I didn't realize there was that many.
Yeah.
I didn't know 7,000 in one place.
So I came down on the 26th in the afternoon. We were the second plane to land.
To do something to help.
To try and help, because we lost one hotel.
Did you?
That we had a hotel, and we lost some guests and staff and whatnot. So it was a pretty amazing scene.
Yeah, nature's got a few surprises up its sleeve, that's for sure.
But the tourism now is buoyant. It's fully recovered, isn't it?
We recovered really within a year.
Yeah. I can understand why you love this country so much. I completely understand.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic
I think
country.
it's a go-to place for a good holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like people say, where would you go on holiday? It's like Thailand, just because you just feel comfortable here. You've got the weather, the food, the people are friendly, like we said before.
I'll go those in the bin, mate.
Shove them in the van.
Have we got a bin in the van?
Yep, okay.
Yeah, let's do this.
Would it normally be sunny at this time of year?
Yeah, well, it's just turning now. It would be the peak season would be November, December, January, February, March,
So
April.
it's coming into the sunny period.
Coming into but we just call it a green period. This is an unusual time that you would get 2-3 days of rain. Normally you'd get a couple of hours of rain and then it goes away. So
I think we've got rain all week.
yeah, right. Well, it was much better last week.
Typical Brits. We brought it with us. Sorry
yeah,
about
that's
that.
right.
Bill.
Absolutely.
So, Bill, you're also a bike man, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Tell me a little bit about your bikes and how that started. Have you just been about automotive generally, or did it start
Absolutely.
with cars?
Started with go-karts, went into motorcycles, cars, racing, and never left me.
Yeah. And tell me about some of the bikes in your collection.
I've got some English bikes. I've got the Vincents, Black Vincent and Black Knight.
Wow.
And then I've got a whole collection of Triumphs, which are also the old Bonnevilles. Fantastic bikes.
Very, very pretty bikes. She's still got some poke, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So when did you start flying then?
I started when I was probably 30.
Okay.
And I bought my first jet when I was probably 50 something. So now we have a string of jets which we use for business. We've got a Gulfstream 5, a Citation 10, which is the world's fastest private jet.
Oh, wow.
The Jaguar E type sped onto the scene in 1961. Its revolutionary engineering and design born out of the company's extensive motor racing history. It could hit 60 miles per hour in less than 7 seconds, and its 3.8 litre straight-six engine could propel it to just over 150 miles per hour. Bill's stunning 1969 Series 2 example has a larger 4.2 litre motor, and it still feels wonderfully quick. However, when trundling along at low speeds in hot, humid countries like Thailand, it does have a habit of overheating.
She's down. She's down. We were with Bill Heineke, and we were doing a little interview with him in the E-Type, and she kept overheating. I have to say, it's such a beautiful car. It is so choice. I highly recommend you pick one up if you have the means. Look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. Oh! Stunner. Beautiful cars, but reliability? Okay.
What's happened, mate?
The poor old girl's been overheating.
Oh.
Because of the nature of filming and the speed at which we travel, the airflow through the rad just hasn't been enough. And of course, we've stopped a fair few times to let it cool down, and the battery's just dead.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, having got a few classic bikes myself, they are temperamental.
Well, that's
So they're
it.
beautiful to look at, beautiful to drive whilst they go, but you need a little bit of TLC
Well,
with
they
them.
also need to travel at a speed where the air's coming through, and it just got too hot.
Yeah. But it looks stupendous.
It's such a beautiful car, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of our Sunday drive. The poor Jag's overheated, but to be fair, it's like a good 50, 55 years old, maybe, that car, something like that. So she's done well. She looks great. Charlie has to go back in the van, but it's now going to tip down again. So maybe he's dodged a bullet. Now I'm going to dodge this Jag. Normally, rain and bikes don't go, but when the rain is warm and you're on a great road somewhere exotic, it's actually a laugh. I was soaked to the skin, but loving this adventure. The bike handled brilliantly and it was easy to slip through the traffic back to the Anantara.
We're staying in a private villa at the Anantara Resort, and from our pool, Russ has spotted a little deserted island across the bay and decided that it would be a great idea for us to go and explore. We asked around, and apparently the locals call it Snake Island, and no one from the Lian has ever been there before. I'm not keen on the idea, but in the spirit of adventure, I decided to join Russ.
Very pretty island, I'll give it that. Just the content I'm unsure of. Come on in.
Adventure
Good idea.
or luxury?
Adventure, home.
Walk along here, see if we can find a way in.
Oh,
Trying to find a way in. Hold up, Russ.
so against all advice, we've come over to Snake Island. Russ is looking for an entrance, but there are no entrances because no one comes to this island for obvious reasons. We have got a machete with us, and I'm going to let him do his adventuring magic while I watch.
We've just got to find a way in because there's no actual path into Snake Island. So we'll just walk up the beach here a little bit and just see if there's a way where we might be able to get in for a few meters, 100 meters, something like that. I think they said that there's like cobra on here and God knows what. So we better put our boots on.
Yeah.
It's as good as any.
Russ,
Yeah?
last time we saw an entrance back that way, unless you want to carry on going.
Let me just look in there very quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to have to rinse my feet.
Remember that?
You could just keep your machete down by your sides. I've chosen to wear my motorcycle boots for obvious reasons. Good armour for the ankles, feet and the calf. I mean, I like to go in prepared for these things. Well, I don't want to do this actually in the first place, just so we've got that. But I thought this was a good opportunity to get the old boots out. You've got some pretty hardy footwear though.
Yep, these are my rocker boots.
Calves
Actually,
covered?
sort of motorcycle boots, really. I mean, no snake will bite through that leather, I don't think. When there? Might actually be.
Entrance is good. It was in the jungle.
It's where it gets a little bit tricky, isn't it?
put that over your, across your front, you might find it easier.
A lot of rubbish up here. Some weird well.
Eyes up and down and left and right and everywhere. I think it's time to button up. Suit up. Hazmat suit. Or alternatively, a Dickie shirt.
This is a bit,
Get your machete out.
this is spiky.
Hack it down.
It's not very sharp. Who made this machete?
Oh, it's got you. It's got you. Mount up. What's that? Careful. Creepers. Here in the depths of the jungle. And here in the depths of the jungle is Russ Malkin.
What do you think? Left or right?
I think fucking you, spider.
Big spider.
That's disgusting. Get
Fuck,
out
I
of my
just
face.
walked into that web.
That is.
Can you see him?
That's nice, isn't it?
There, look. I just
great.
walked into that bloody web.
Yeah, your idea.
What do you think, left or right?
Left. Every little step I take, death comes closer. Every little step I make, I didn't like my will. Every little step I'm going off piste to explore the real jungle. Off the beaten track in search of snakes. Snake. Snake. Let's do it, Malkin. Let's run. I don't suppose anyone's got one of those dog defenders on them, have they?
Spider again.
Oh,
Look.
fucking big
Oh,
one.
Whoa.
That's not particularly nice.
Snake. I've got one.
Oh, fuck me, you haven't
There,
got
look.
Ah,
Look.
you fucking... Excuse my French. I've got it. It's all right, we're safe. I knew you were going to do that. I knew it. You've got to work on your acting, mate.
Well, you reacted a bit.
I did. I said the F word. I apologise to the children in the audience, but it's not normally my language. But
What have you got? What are you going to do?
I'm just going to touch your ear and get you reacting.
Mind out, some of those things can be a bit sharp.
Mind the creepers. We're alive!
Well, that's the end of our little Snake Island adventure.
I had a bit of a hiss, E-fit.
Yes. And now what? I guess you want to go back and...
I want to go back up there. Ah! No more.
I bought that yesterday for 100 baht. I thought it might come in useful.
Oh, do you know what? I knew you were going to do something, and then I forgot you were going to do something.
It's like, snake!
In my face.
It's like, snake! We'll do a reenactment.
By the pool.
A reenactment by the pool, okay.
Should we do that?
Come on then.
Let's do it.
Come on then.
It's ready.
You ready? Now look here.
And I'm going to go to sleep, and relatively early, and I'm about to run out of memory because for some reason, well, my phone's archaic, it's ancient, but I like it. And so we're going to get a good 8 hours before tomorrow. I think we're doing some, I don't know, heights are involved. Never used to be a problem when I was younger, but the older I get, the more hairy it becomes and the more reserved I become about being at great heights. So should make for good footage. Yeah, all good though.
Focus, Charlie. Smile, Charlie.
You can see him doing press-ups so he looks buff when we go out.
See my propeller? Like, whoa.
Psycho.